glad to have you join us once again on TV360 Nigeria's News Now. I am Esther Vese. Supporters of President Muhammadu Buhari and officials of the All Progressives Congress have been meeting in Lagos State to garner support for the president. Now, the officers present at the event, which held at the Haven in Ikeja, the state capital, include the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, Senator Gbenga Ashafa, and the former Deputy Governor of Lagos, that's Adejoke Adefulire. TV360's Oyin Adekunle has the rest of the story.
The campaigns for the 2019 general election has officially begun. The candidates of the two top political parties have lined out their plans, with the All Progressives Congress candidate, President Muhammadu Buhari, promising to take Nigeria to the next level, and Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party presenting what he calls the Atiku Plan. The next plan is to garner support, and this gathering in Lagos, southwest Nigeria, is one of such. Members of the APC, which include supporters of President Muhammadu Buhari and leaders of the 20 local governments in Lagos State, are here to solicit support for the president. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, is one of the dignitaries to address the gathering. The minister says one term will not be enough to fulfill all the promises they made in 2014.
So we said we would change Nigeria, and we never said we would change it in 4 years. And we have watched 16 years without being inspired. People may try to revise history now, but you don't sack a good employee. So if they are living delusionally and saying, oh, it was good under their time, why did they lose the job?
Fashola also highlights the ministry's achievements in road construction, power generation and housing.
The two contractors on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway got a total of 15 billion naira to continue the work. And you will see that we have kept them there. And even though we have not finished, you will see that as you are traveling that road on the sections that we have finished, your journey time is reducing. So the next level is to complete that road. There is no state in Nigeria today, no state, where the government of Buhari and Yemi Ashibajo are not building at least one road. There is no state. We are also constructing houses in 34 states. We are still waiting for land in 2. After 16 years, electricity generation was roughly 4,000. Yes. In 3 years, generation has moved to 7,000. 7,000. So we have added 3,000. If you do the average, it means that we were doing at least 1,000 per annum.
Other speakers also emphasized the minister's position on continuity and the need to support the current administration.
We have managed at our own level in the 8th Senate to work on the laws that will free the rail system, bring it out to the public. Public-private participation. The first thing you do is to bring in new laws. And that was championed by my own committee as the chairman, land transport of the Senate. The new law is now on the table of Mr. President, but we are not waiting for the passage. The work is going on. Lagos-Ibadan standard rail is almost completed.
I'm going to talk about social development. 1 meal a day has covered about 16 states of the Federation. And before the end of this administration, the entire 36 states will be covered. 1 meal a day has improved the life of our children in school. It has given them reduced nutrition and has given them, made them healthy and strong.
The federal government of Nigeria budgeted only 18 billion for the Ministry of Works. In 2014, all the roads in Nigeria, only 18 billion. They released only 12 billion. So that's why you are having the number of roads that he was talking about. But you know the interesting thing? That same 2014, when BRF was the governor, our budget in Ministry of Works in Lagos was 78 billion. So that's why we were able to achieve a whole lot.
The 2019 general elections will begin on February 16, 2019. It is expected to be a tight race between incumbent Buhari and the former Vice President, Atiku. Oyin Adekunle, TV360, Nigeria.
The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, has again attacked the Senate President, Bukola Saraki. The APC national chairman condemned calls for his resignation by the opposition party and declared that the political life of Saraki is winding up gradually. Our correspondent, Tunji Oye, has this report.
For more than 6 hours, members of the National Working Committee of the All Progressive Congress were inside this building for an emergency meeting. When they eventually emerged, they were all beaming with smiles. APC National Chairman Adams Oshiomhole told anxious journalists that the NWC celebrated the victory of the party in the by-elections across the country, especially the defeat of the Senate President Bukola Saraki in Kwara State.
More outstanding for me and for Progressive Congress is the humiliating defeat that Senator Bukola Saraki suffered in the hands of Kwara people who are determined to dismantle the Saraki's, I don't want to say Saraki's dynasty. He is only constant decimal. And I think the good people of Kwara State has dealt him a big blow. And consider that he is the proclaimed leader of the opposition, the PDP. And he has had to leave to lead elections in Mushu and other places. Now here is a native doctor who was busy going to other states, now unable to heal his own people in his own state. For us, that defeat in Kwara is most outstanding, particularly as it was effected through a candidate that was put in place, not by anybody close to Saraki, and he won. They will give him the honor of resigning. They are going to politically bury him come February next year, and he has seen the first warning signal. They've done the first 1 meter grave, and by February next year, Senator Saraki will be politically retired by the great people of Kwara State who he has mismanaged their political life, economy and society.
Oshiomhole also condemned call for his resignation by the opposition People's Democratic Party for alleged corruption.
Somehow, the opposition party has been loudest in pointing at what they call crisis within APC. And I find it very exciting that the opposition is loudest in saying I should resign as chairman of my party. When armed robbers are demanding the resignation of an Inspector General of Police, then you know you need to keep that commissioner in office. But when armed robbers are celebrating the appointment of a commissioner or demanding that he retain his office, you better go and look at, who that commissioner is or Inspector General of Police. So I'm very excited that we're here. And those who know me knows that, once we commence a battle, we don't give up. I believe that APC will win the next election, and all those decampees who decamp because they wanted to be president, they will find that while they were gunning for the elephant, their own people didn't think that they deserve an antelope, and they will punish them with their PVC.
The APC National Working Committee also deliberated on the recent crisis in the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly. The party indicted the police for complicity and demanded full investigation into the matter.
It's very disturbing information or disturbing development in a couple of states where the PDP is misusing the state instrument, even as they are the loudest to talk about police, misusing the police wherever they can to undermine the basic democratic rights of APC in those states in which they have governors. A typical example is what has happened today in Akwa Ibom State, where the commissioner of police there colluded with the state governor to forcefully, force APC members out of the State House of Assembly. And the commissioner went beyond the bound of duty to aid and abet what was clearly wrong. It is not the business of police to assist the political authority to effect their own biases with regards to the composition of the House. We expect that the government should investigate it and the police commissioner should be brought to justice, because law enforcement officers are not above the law. When they appear to cross the red line, there should be a system that should be triggered to bring them to justice.
The 2019 election is drawing close by the day, and it is expected that there will be exchange of verbal fireworks between the two major parties in the days ahead. From Abuja, Sunjoye, TV360 News.
Well, in a move to put an end to the recent crisis emanating from its controversial primaries across the country, the All Progressives Congress has set up 6 committees across the geopolitical zones. Each committee is expected to resolve the crisis in a region of the country and is also headed by a state governor from a different zone from the one whose crisis it wants to resolve. Now, the committee known as the Peace and Reconciliation Committees will visit the 6 political zones to resolve controversies from primaries at the local level. Now, the committee members were chosen because of their influence and ability to persuade. Some of the governors heading the committees include Abdullahi Ganduje of Kano State, Abiola Ajimobi of Oyo State, and Rauf Aregbesola of Osun State. While still on political matters, a non-governmental organization, Giant Leadership Initiative, says the problem of bad governance, corruption, and nepotism in Nigeria can be primarily traced to political parties in the country. The group wants political parties in the country to go through proper reformation to be able to produce credible leaders. They say the structure, the mode of operation, and the mode of finance of the party must be addressed before they can produce quality leaders.
Democracy is being driven by political parties. That's where it starts. Form a political party, come up with your elected officials, put them up for the people to vote. If you don't have a choice of determining the right kind of person, what choice would you have when you vote? It would be a choice between evil and a better evil. I mean, it would have been a choice between evil and good, right? Then you have a choice between evil and a better evil. I don't know how evil is better, If the property is messed up, what do you think you produce? You produce a rotten egg, rubbish. There's no two ways about it. If they are clean and go through the process, they'll give you something clean. That I said, identify that as our main cause of the problem that is happening. Or you can go further and say, if it's monetized, government become monetized. Isn't it true? I mean, that's your product. That's where I started, but it doesn't solve all the problem. But if you start from there and have a solid political structure, then you can hold the person accountable. There will be circumstances and consequences. When you take a decision, you say, it's not what you do.
ECOWAS member states are still meeting in Abuja for the second ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament. The lawmakers have been presenting the reports of the various countries in the past year. Now, our very own Adeshewa Odushaga has the rest of the story.
The Ghanaian lawmaker was the first to present his country's report. Mahama Ayariga tells his fellow parliamentarians what his country has been doing to stop the farmer elders crisis and other security issues.
Mr. Speaker, we continue to have the perennial conflict between nomadic herdsmen and crop farmers. Government relaunched the Operation Cow Leg, which seeks to flush out the herders and their cattle. But even more progressively, government set up the National Cattle Ranching Project in Gweru Plains of the Eastern region, where herdsmen are encouraged to keep their cattle for grazing in order to minimize herdsmen-farmer conflicts. We continue to uphold the rights of women, and systems are being put in place to ensure that women's rights are adequately protected. Statistics from the 2012 population and housing census puts Ghana's female population at 51%, yet our females are underrepresented in Ghana's legislature. Out of 275 members of parliament, there are only 37 female MPs, representing 13.48% of the entire parliament. This is not good, but efforts are being made in future to encourage women to contest elections and hopefully improve their chances of getting elected to the National Assembly.
The Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Sierra Leone is up next. Chernobyl highlights what his country has done to revive the economy after a deadly Ebola outbreak in 2014.
Sierra Leone economy remained resilient and recovered strongly in 2016, as we stated in the past, despite the shocks occasioned by the slump in international commodity prices and the impact of the Ebola virus outbreak in 2015. However, economic growth slowed in 2017 to 3.5% compared to 6.3% in 2016, due mainly to the sluggish recovery in iron ore production, which was attributed to lower commodity price and high operating cost during the year. Although iron ore production grew, but was far less compared to the 9 million metric tons projected amount for that particular year. The main iron ore company, Shandong Iron and Steel Group, stopped production in the last quarter of 2017 due to high operating cost.
The second ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament will continue until December 14, 2018. Its working sessions will also include the establishment of an ad hoc committee to consider the draft 2019 ECOWAS budget and the promotion of interregional trade. Adeshawa Odushoga, TV360, Nigeria.
Now, in a related development, Nigeria has replaced the Republic of Togo as chairman of the 15-nation sub-regional group of the Economic Community of West African States at the United Nations. The permanent representatives of Nigeria to the United Nations, Ambassador Tijani Bande, took over from his Togolese counterpart, Ambassador Frank Bayedo, at the sub-regional group meeting in New York. Nabande says Nigeria had always worked with other member states of the group as brothers, including agreements on candidatures at the United Nations without conflicts. He pledged that Nigeria would continue to do all it could to help coordinate the group's work. Throughout its tenure, the country would provide leadership on all issues. A federal high court in Lagos has adjourned the case of the former governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, to January 21 and January 28. Now, the adjournment came after the prosecution opened its case before the court in the criminal trial charged with 6.9 billion naira fraud. Now, at the hearing, Rotimi Jacobs, a senior advocate of Nigeria, appeared for EFCC. Kanu Agabi and Olalekan Ojo, also senior advocates of Nigeria, represented the first and second accused respectively. Jacobs then called on the first prosecution witness Lawrence Akande, a banker in a commercial bank in charge of Southwest 1, comprising Ogun, Oyo and Osun states. The witness told the court that in June 2014, he was called by one Abiodun Agbele, who informed him that he had about 1.2 billion naira cash lodgements to make in Akure. He also confirmed that the accused company, Spotless Limited, was a customer of the bank with account at the Dugbe branch. Fasher was arraigned by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on October 2nd, alongside his company, Spotless Investment Limited, on 11 counts. He had pledged not guilty to the charges and is out on a 50 million naira bail. The National Examinations Council has announced an extension for the registration of the ongoing 2018 November-December NECO Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination. The acting registrar of NECO, Abubakar Ghana, made this known in a statement on Tuesday in Abuja. Ghana says applicants wishing to write the examination could still register as walk-in candidates, that's late registration candidates, and the registrar says the extension became necessary because some of the candidates could not register at the expiration of the registration deadline, which was put for November 17. And he advises all the candidates who failed to meet the registration deadline to take advantage of the window provided by the management. Well, you're still watching news now. Up next is some news in business with Annetta Felix. So just stay with us.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, Do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the go-to app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
You're welcome back. So, hello, Annetta.
Hello, Esther.
You know, first of all, they say calcium carbide used to ripen fruits, there's banana, mangoes, and pears, and probably some others. And then they talk about using formaldehyde to preserve chicken. And recently we heard of the use of, sniper, to prevent weevil in beans. What's the Nigerian government saying about that? What are they doing about that?
Well, that's really sad. I mean, talking about how it affects our health, and that's why the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Aljo Igwe, says a new national pesticide policy will soon be launched to regulate the indiscriminate use of chemicals in the preservation of farm produce in the country. He also says a policy on food management will be introduced to reduce cases of self-poisoning, which he admits has been on the rise. The minister, who described the situation as a crisis, says the ministry will partner with a National Orientation Agency, NOA, on what the citizens need to consume and the best storage practices to meet international standards.
The ministry is about to create an agency called AIMS. We want to appoint a minimum of 3 distributors of agri inputs in every local government in the country, so we can advise them and teach them what not to sell and what to sell. Educate them on the risks of marketing certain products which people sell either knowingly or unknowingly, but which are harmful to the community. Once they are in place, all marketers and producers of chemicals and other products, by which time the policy will be out, will be told clearly what not to market. And maybe at that level, all the way to local government levels, we should begin to campaign, warning our people about this problem. It's not going to be easy to solve.
Now, 10 states and parts of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, may soon experience telecommunications services blackout following tax dispute between the Kogi state government and mobile network operators. Benga Adebayo, the chairman of the Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators, Alton, gave the warning at a press briefing in Lagos. He says the Kogi state government shut down 150 base transceiver stations belonging to mobile telecoms operators as a result of disputes arising from taxes and levies.
The Association of Licensed Telecom Operators of Nigeria, Alton, wishes to express its concern about the shutting down of telecom facilities in Kogi State as a result of disputes arising from unusual taxes and levies demanded by the Kogi State government through its Ministry of Environment and Physical Planning, Ministry of Environment and Mineral Resources, Kogi State Environmental Protection Board, and championed by the Kogi State Internal Revenue Service. This issue is likely to lead to a total communication blackout in the entire Kogi State, part of Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, and possible impact on service availability in some parts of the following states: Nasarawa, Benue, Enugu, Anambra, Edo, Ondo, Ekiti, Kwara, and Niger states. These are states sharing borders with Kogi State. This situation arises as a number of critical telecom sites belonging to our members have been closed and sealed up by Kogi State government in an attempt to increase its internally generated revenue IGR collection. The action followed an ex parte court order obtained by the KRIS over unsubstantiated allegations that our members are in default of tax payments to the government, which is not true, and access to these critical telecom sites have been denied. To the best of our knowledge, our members have settled all statutory levies and taxes due to Kogi State government and have taken necessary steps to comply with local laws that govern business activities in Kogi. I will say with emphasis again, telecom operators are very responsible corporate citizens. We fulfill all our statutory obligations without being asked. We are not waiting for the taxman to knock on our door before we pay our taxes. We are not waiting for the state revenue agencies to knock on our doors before we pay them what is due to them. The issues are arising due to disputes from payments that are illegal, some of which are not captured in the federal laws, some of which are now inserted into state laws. Sometimes you hear that the state assemblies are sitting at odd hours of the night. Before you wake up in the morning, a law has been passed, and by the day after, the revenue soldiers are going around to close up premises. This is where we have problems.
Oil prices fell on Tuesday, falling under the weight of a broad stock market sell-off that undercut supports the prices earlier in the day from expectations that OPEC will introduce new output curbs. Brent crude oil futures were at $66.37 a barrel, and that's down 42 cents or 0.6% from their last close. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were at $56.94 per barrel, 26 cents or 0.5% below their last settlement. All prices are around a quarter below their recent peaks in early October, and that's weighed down by surging supply, especially from the United States, as well as a slowdown in global trade. That's all from here, Esther.
Thank you, Annette, for the update. But that story on the sniper issue gets me every time. I mean, long-term side effects of sniper, it could affect your lungs, it could affect your heart, it could even go ahead as to cause cancer. And these people put them in food produce that we're supposed to eat and consume without us knowing. It's very, very risky. Very completely risky.
In my opinion, I would say that's selfish because, you're putting profits, ahead of lives of people. But I do hope that this new policy by the government would help take care of issues like that.
Hopefully it would. Well, thank you very much again for the update, Annette. And we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll bring you more stories on the international scene and in sports. So do stay tuned.
Corruption not in my country.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. It's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so... Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We are only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Which came out with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
You're welcome back. Now, the Norwegian Refugee Council, NRC, says more than 200,000 people have fled into camps following ethnic conflict on the border of Ethiopia's Oromia and Somali regions since July. The aid group confirms most of those in the camps come from the Oromia region. And the NRC says the total number of the displaced by the conflict is now 700,000. And the former governor of the Somali region, Abdi Mohammed Omar, who was forced to resign in August, is facing charges of human rights abuse during his 13 years in power. He has, however, denied any wrongdoing. A federal judge barred the Trump administration on Monday from refusing asylum to immigrants who crossed the southern border illegally. Now, the U.S. District Judge John S. Tigger issued a temporary restraining order after hearing arguments in San Francisco. The request was made by the American Civil Liberties Union and the Center for Constitutional Rights, which quickly sued after President Donald Trump issued a ban this month in response to the caravans of migrants that have started to arrive at the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, Trump issued a proclamation on the 9th of November that said anyone who crossed the southern border would be eligible for asylum. But the regulations, which will remain in place for 3 months absent a court order, could potentially make it harder for thousands of people who enter the U.S. to avoid deportation. And in sport, UEFA President Alexander Ceferin says a European Super League will not happen. Ceferin and Andrea Agnelli, the chairman of the European Club Association that represents more than 200 top teams, have made their positions clear following a report that a leaked document revealed secret discussions taking place over a possible new league competition. Now, Agnelli, who is also the chairman of Juventus, also confirmed they have never seen, discussed, or have never been involved in the creation of the document. Both men insist that Europe's leading clubs will remain part of UEFA, while also holding plans that could redraw the European football landscape from 2024. Well, that's all on our bulletin this night. Thank you very much for joining us. I am Esther Vasey. Good night.